Today, we are going to configure the Cogent DataHub Redundancy feature. So first, what is redundancy? It's when you have two data paths for one source, so that if one of the paths fail, the data still reaches the user. This works by using a redundancy broker like the DataHub. The DataHub's job is to decide which data path is valid and use the data from that path. If that path fails for some reason, the DataHub switches to the other path. When the first path is restored, the DataHub can switch back. To demonstrate how to configure redundancy for the DataHub, we are going to use two instances of DataPid for our two data paths. Let's switch over to our desktop. Here are two instances of DataPid configured for domains DataPid A and DataPid B. Now I'll start up the DataHub and open the data browser. Here are the two redundant domains for DataPid A and DataPid B. Now let's configure redundancy. Just choose the redundancy option and click Add. I'll choose DataPid A for source domain 1. Let's make that the preferred source. So the DataHub will use that domain wherever it's available, and we'll choose DataPid B for source domain 2. Now we need to enter a name for the output domain. Let's call it DataPid Out. Next, we need to configure how the DataHub knows when to switch. There are a lot of possible criteria here. For a start, choosing Not Equal To and Good is a good choice. This will trigger a switch for any interruption to the data stream or any change in data quality. We could have this apply to any point in the domain, but maybe some points can go bad. But we still won't want to switch. Let's apply the switch criteria to a single point, pid1.pv. When this point quality is not good, we definitely want to switch. Be sure to enter the point name exactly as shown up in the data browser. Case is important. And there is no domain name because the point is in both of the input domains. Let's also configure data flow detection and set that to 2 seconds. This way, if the data stops flowing for more than 2 seconds on one domain, the DataHub will switch to the other domain. And for the options, we'll just keep the default settings. Now let's configure our status and control points. These are special DataHub points that let you know what's happening in the redundancy connection. Let's call the current source _source. I'll start each of these point names with an underscore so that they will all group together and we'll be able to find them easily. This value will be either 1 or 2, depending on which source domain is being used. For domain A and domain B, we can use _domain-A and _domain-B. The value of these points will be either 1 or 0 for active or inactive. And finally, _preferred to show which domain is the preferred domain. Then click OK and Apply. Notice that the DataPid Out domain was created, and it has the 4 status and control points in it. They are not active yet. Now, when I enable redundancy, you can see that the data is enabled. In the status points, you can see that both domains are 1 enabled. The preferred domain is A1, and that is the source. Now suppose DataPid A disconnects. Notice that domain A went to 0 and source switched to 2. The data is now coming from DataPid B. Now let's reconnect DataPid A and check the status. See the switch? Let's do that again. Disconnect and reconnect. Now let's simulate a data flow slowdown. I will click the pause button on DataPid A. The data pauses, but the quality is still good. It is still connected. After the 2 seconds that we configured, the system switches to DataPid B. Let's see that again. You can check that in the status and control points. Notice that the quality is still good in domain A, but the source point value is 2, indicating that we're using data from DataPid B. If we start up DataPid A again, the DataHub switches back to domain A right away, because that's the preferred domain. This completes our overview of redundancy, what it is, and how it works in the DataHub. For more details, please see Configure the Switch, Troubleshooting, Typical Scenarios, and other sections of the Using Redundancy chapter of the DataHub documentation.